Should probably mention that I'm recording all of these back-to-back anyway, so, really, it's until next time for you, not for me. I just kinda, it's like, oh, Control-N, boop, yay, now I can record again. Yeah, that's pretty much how it is for me. Anyhow, last time, I don't know. I broke the kiss, breathless, and looked up to see that Twi's horn was softly glowing. I think that's where we left off. Twi, should your horn be doing that? I asked. Twi giggled. My horn sometimes do that when I get a little melty. Anyway, it was the perfect chance for me to ask her something that I've wanted to for a long time, but never had the appropriate chance to. Twi, does your horn... can you feel anything with it? She nodded. It's pretty sensitive, actually. Every unicorn's horn is. Used to interact with the plant's magic field, after all. It sounds pretty neat, I said. Do you mind if I touch it? Shook her head, blushing. I think I'd like you to. Patrick, oh well. I ran my fingers up along her neck and over her ears until I finally gingerly touched the base of her horn. It was still faintly glowing with magic, and when I made contact with it, I felt a mild electric shock travel up my fingers, and as the magical aura grew a little brighter and expanded to my hand, there was a warm, tingling sensation. I curled my fingers around her horn and felt it soft, warm, soft, and alive. Not at all like dead bone. Take a drink. So I began to pant a little, but well. And I realized that making her feel this way was making me harder than steel. Take another drink. It's obviously a different guy because he says steel, not rock. I began to rub her horn up and down a little, and then I leaned forward and brought my lips against her horn to kiss it. Jesus Christ. I jerked back a little at the initial shock, but as soon as I was used to it, I slipped my tongue from between my lips and gave the horn a little attentive lick. Take another drink! It was just like licking skin. There wasn't a trace of fur. I found the sensation of the filthy, soft firmness against my lips and tongue unbearably exciting. Twi giggled and gasped as I licked and kissed her horn, but after a short while, she pushed me away. I want to lick you now. Oh my, she whispered. But I don't have a horn. I replied, what? Jesus Christ. He's either really drunk or really stupid right now. Mixture. Twi laughed and thumped me on the chest. Oh, come on, you know what I mean, right? I chuckled, nodding. I love you too. Jesus Christ, I'm oblivious. I don't know why, but... you know, for that, I'm taking a drink. I'm getting that melty feeling again, said Twi as she hopped off the couch a little unsteadily and stood on all fours in front of me. You were licking me was getting me all, you really hot. She took a single step forward, bringing her head in between my splayed knees, and for a long while she stood there, staring at my pants. Her head cocked as if she was trying to divine a secret. So, how do these things work exactly? Fucking pants, how do they work? Where are my pants? Soon her horn shone brightly, and my belt buckle started to glow with the same rose-pink color. Rosebud. The buckle slipped back and forth as she fumbled with the unfamiliar device, and the tip of her tongue popped out from between her lips as she concentrated. I brought my hands down. Here, let me help. But then I suddenly felt them fly from my belt. I slapped away by invisible force, and Twi glared at me fiercely. No, I want to do it. There was little Miss Sparkle, stubborn perfectionist again. Miss Sparkle. Mr. Sparkle. I knew better than to argue with her when she was in this kind of mood and left her to it. But she quickly worked out that she had to hold the buckle and the belt at the same time. And with a bit of loosening and tightening, she soon unbuckled it, and my belt flicked out and flew across the room for a life of its own. Another drink. Wow, I said. Yeah, that's a list of things I'd never seen before I came here to Equestria. But Twilight was already examining the zip of my pants. Wait, how many locks do these things have? Why do you humans cover yourselves up so much? I've got no idea, I said. But trust me, you wouldn't want to see what, most humans walking around without clothes like you ponies do. But those are lucky just lucky that all those ventures you get involved to keep you looking sleek and healthy. Twilight wasn't really listening to me at this point, and with a little experimentation later, she finally worked out that the button needed to be undone, and then the zip unzipped. Soon she had my jeans around my ankles, and I sat there in only my boxers. Wait, what? Another layer? She laughed. You guys are fucking crazy. Is Earth really that cold? Is there another ice age? Wait, that can't be right. You said your planet is undergoing something called global warming! Right? I don't really think that's the reason I began. Twi had grown impatient, and abandoning her magic, she was now gripping the leg of my underwear between her teeth and trying to pull them down. They slipped down about an inch before they got stuck on her erection. She was forced to pull harder and harder until they slipped down over it. Pretty painfully, I might add. Twi fell back on her rump, giggling, leaving my underwear hanging around my ankles. Take another drink. It's like take a drink after every little thing. I also fell backwards onto the couch, my dick waggling comically in the air. I was just sitting back up and kicking off my boxers when I saw that Twi was also getting up on her to her hooves. She looked at me, still dizzy from the fall, when she realized that I was now totally naked. Totally naked now. Her jaw dropped open. So that's what it looks like. I looked down at my heart and chuckled. Yeah, they are pretty awesome. Are you gay? I was worried for a second that she might be freaked out, it being the first human penis that she's seen after all. She was already trotting up, swaying a little as she did, and when she reached me, she threw her forelegs on either side of my thighs and brought a curious face right up close. You know what, just for that, take another drink. If you're drinking alcohol, I feel bad for you. She stared at my dick for a moment and then glanced up at me. So, I'm just supposed to lick it? She asked, with disarming directness. And that'll make you feel good. Well, yeah, but only if you want. But my half-hearted protests were cut off as Twi stuck her tongue out and drew the wet tape all over the head of my dick. After a quick taste, she sat back down on her rump, deep in thought, as if she just performed an experiment and contemplating the results. Not bad, she said at last, and then she leaned forward and licked the base up to under the head and then sat back down. Her huge violet eyes glued to mine as she did so. So, this is okay? I started squirming. It was an inexperienced blowjob, sure, but the sight of Twi's innocent eyes glistening as she tongued at least my cock was driving me wild. Was all I managed to get out. Take a drink. This is really just take a drink whenever something very hot sauce-esque happens. If you don't know what I mean, you have to go read stories, because most topics are not this descriptive. You don't believe me? Go listen to one of the other ones I read. I guess that means I'm doing okay. Twi giggled and went back to licking the whole length, with long, easy licks of her pink tongue. Try putting the whole thing in your mouth, Twi. That feels even. She was way ahead of me, and as my erection was enveloped by her warm, wet mouth, I felt a jolt of sexual electricity course up from my prostate, right up along my spine. What? Drink. That's hot sauce-esque. Twi drew her mouth up and down slowly, trying not to gag, and soon she learned that she could set me off by running her tongue underneath the head if she did. And after a while, she had me moaning like I was dying. No, I don't want to die. I don't want to die from sexual activity. Fun fact, there is actually a cupcakes parody, a sexual cupcakes parody, known as Cupcakes by the ever-so-famous Raging Sigh. So, yeah. Not reading it. Maybe I will, actually. I don't fucking know. It was always amazingly hot to look down and see a girl on all fours giving you a blowjob, but seeing Twi doing it was several degrees hotter. Maybe it was the naivety of her big violet eyes, or that rump of hers wiggling, or that rump of hers wiggling, while she bobbed her head up and down, her tail happily swishing back and forth. Or maybe it was the fact that I was getting blown by someone, well, some pony, I was completely head over heels in love with. Dat plot. Whatever it was, I didn't feel like I could last too long with the exquisite waves of pleasure that were flowing through my body. But I had no intention of blowing off in her mouth. As I'm having as I would feel, so with an act of supreme willpower, I slipped my dick out of her mouth. She looked up at me in dismay, really worried that she'd done something wrong, but I shook my head. Sit up on the couch, I told her. I want to taste you now. Twi blinked at me. What? My horn? Again? But you. Not your horn. Your other place. Between your haunches. A.k.a. dat plot. Her eyes grew wide. What, you really want to? I didn't reply, but just slipped my hand under her forelegs and lifted her bodily up onto the couch, so that she was sitting back on her rump. Dat rump. This feels a little strange, Twi remarked. Always the scientist. I know Lyra sits like this all the time, but... Then her voice suddenly dropped away when she saw me kneel down in front of her and gently part her knees. She gasped as she felt my hot breath against her most sensitive of places. Oh my. All that messing around had clearly turned Twi on. The thick, spicy animal scent of her sex filled my senses, and I felt my dick jump suddenly at the intensely sexy smell. Take a drink! The lips of her pussy were slightly parted, already glistening with beads of juice, and her clit was rock hard and peeking out from under its little hood. Another drink! I deciding there was no need to go slowly anymore. Wait, this doesn't make sense. I deciding there was no need to go slowly anymore. I'm gonna guess that means I decided there was no need to go slowly anymore, so I dove down and drew a clit in my mouth. I don't know. It was like I'd applied a little branding iron to the little purple unicorn pony. She almost leaped off the couch with a cry as soon as my tongue touched her. But I slipped my arms around her thighs and held her down and began to eat her up properly. Like a proper gentleman. As I licked, soft little gasps emanated from her, and I felt myself getting harder still as I was exposed for the first time to her amazing flavor. Drink. Her juices were clear and hot, and I couldn't resist sticking my tongue into her sticky little slit to get a better taste. Drink. She was rich and salty with an undertone of sweetness that I tasted before from a vegetarian girlfriend I'd had, and the more I licked, the more stickiness appeared. And all the while, Twi was squirming on her rump. Her forehead was pushed up hard against her mouth to stop herself from crying out. No, I would take a drink, but by now I'm starting to feel sick. Maybe this wasn't a good idea. Eating out a pony was a little different from eating out a human girl. For one thing, her tail seemed to have a life of their own, and Twi's was brushing against back and forth from my bare chest and nipples, making them tingle with a strange sensation. And with my arms around her thighs, I found that my hands were close to the soft swellings of tiny breasts situated between her tummy and her haunches. And I chuckled myself at how much more convenient it was to make love to a pony. There's no need to reach up to tweak her nipples. They were right down there. I stopped looking at her pussy and lifted my head to stick one of those little hard nubs in my mouth, curious to see if she'd like having her nipples licked. And Twi gasped. I guess she did like it. I took my time sucking and licking on the soft breasts of hers. And as I did, I caressed her little clit with my feather touches of my thumb, and then gently slid a finger, and then a second one, into her. Twi was already so moist down there, with a mixture of her juices and my saliva, that I penetrated her without a problem, and she sighed as I explored the satiny soft passage inside her. Take another drink. This was not a good idea on my part. I was trying to be as gentle as possible, seeing as it was her first time, but when I accidentally grazed her nipple with my lower teeth, she yelped, and I felt the tremors inside her pussy, and then a hot gush of juices from my fingers. I took my lips off her breast and chuckled. Wow, did you like it when I did that to her? Twi didn't reply, but straight away brought her forehooves down, taking hold of my head, pushed it back against her breasts. Bite me again, please, she whispered. Harder. I knew better than to ignore a mare's heartfelt pleas, so I ran my teeth against the nipple and gently nibbled it. Feeling Twi's pussy grow even hotter and wetter still against my fingers. I returned to sucking and mouthing her clit, and as new droplets appeared glistening on her lips, her panting grew deeper. And as that crazy stage of excitement where your dick becomes the entire center of its sensation, so I took my fingers from inside her and started to jerk myself off. But I knew that if I didn't fuck her soon, I was going to come all over the place, so I pulled my hands away and stood up. Twi looked at me nervously as I took her by the forehoof and lifted her up the sofa. Her mane was disheveled, her face flushed, and her bottom lip was white from where she'd been biting it. I have a question, where the fuck is Spike during all of this? I don't know. Oh shit. We're almost done with the story regardless. This will be the last part. Guaranteed. I took a cushion from the couch and placed it on the floor, and little purple unicorn made no protests as I lay her on her back with a cushion against her butt, and then I lay on top of her, kissing and nibbling her neck just beneath her ears. Will it hurt very much? She asked between the deep pants I was listening from her. Maybe for the tiniest little while, I said, stroking her mane, but I promise that after that it will feel even more amazing than everything else we've been doing. I grabbed my dick and began to rub the head already slick with pre-cum, up along her sticky slit, and when it touched her swollen clit, she gasped. Please stop teasing me, she pleaded. I'm not gonna stand anymore. Just put it in me, please. What's that, Twi? What do you want me to do? Wow, you're an ass, I said. You teased me with that blowjob earlier, and now is my chance to return the favor. Rub me. It was a little more than a whisper. I couldn't quite hear you. Rub me, screamed Twi. For Celestia's sake, rub me! Well, since you asked so nicely. This guy's a fucking asshole. I love it. I brought my hips forward. I wasn't too worried about hurting her, as I hadn't felt a hymen with my fingers. But I thought it better to go gentle to start with. The head of my dick slid easily in between her gooey lips, and I slowly eased myself into her. I would take another drink, but I don't have anything else to drink. The things are empty. So take a drink if you have anything. Oh, Celestia, she groaned. Holy fuck! I gasped. The feeling of penetrating her was almost indescribable. It was like I'd slipped into warm honey. So sticky and hot, and slick was it inside her. That doesn't make sense. Tell me if it hurts, okay, Twi? I started to fuck her in slow, shallow strokes, luxuriating in the feel of that satiny tunnel sweeping the end of my dick. But Twi had other ideas. She threw her forelegs around my torso and pulled me up against her so I slid into her balls deep. When the head of my dick hit her cervix, we both cried out. I could, say that's complete bullshit because, horses or ponies or whatever, their vagina is much larger than a human's. It's fucking huge, actually. So, I don't know. I brought my hips back, sliding a little bit out of her, and then I sat back in, and Twi groaned, Oh, Celestia, why did I wait so long to do this? Soon we adapted to each other's rhythm, and we were fucking like we'd done in a million times before. Twi might have been a virgin, but she was a quick learner, and soon I discovered that she enjoyed long, deep strokes, which was perfect, as it gave me the chance to kiss her and lick her neck while we fucked. She was one for talking during sex, and she said she panted and moaned, tossing her sweat-slick mane from side to side. I love the intimacy of doing it in the missionary's position, but for real, penetration, doggy style is the only way to do it. My dick's still inside of her. I flipped her over with difficulty. She was only a little pony, but they're a lot heavier than they look, and then I took hold of either side of her hips and resumed plowing her, listening high-pitched cries of pleasure from the little unicorn. My side was still smarting from the manticore wound, but all that wine that had just wrung from me, that's the worst of it, and the excitement of finally fucking Twi was transmuting the little that was left into pleasure. I don't fucking know. Take another drink if you have it. I looked down at her perched rump and her long tail whipping back and forth. No. And I slid my hands across the small of her back, feeling that soft, velvety fur. By the way, about earlier, if you think I'm going to say anything like that, I got one word for you. No. Fuck, where did I leave off? I shook my head in disbelief. Man, oh man, all those years wasted fucking human woman. Fucking pony had some definite advantages. One thing, I didn't have to reach up to grab hold of her hair to get leverage for my thrusting. Her mane extended farther down her back, and for the perfect handhold for pile driving myself into her, which I did with drunken gusto. Twi was moaning louder now. I could feel her pussy get boiling hot around my dick. It was starting to drive me over the edge. Twi, you better slow down. I'm going to come otherwise. Twi looked back at me in horror. No, not yet. She pulled away from me, my rigid dick slipping out, dripping from inside her, and I fell back onto the floor. I was in a daze, and my entire body felt like a single raw nerve, having been stopped just before coming, and as I sat up on my elbows, I saw the unicorn advancing on me, her face flushed, her eyes hot and hungry. Twi, what? Twi didn't reply, but pushed me back down on the floor of her forehooves, and swung her hind legs onto either side of my waist, staring down at me. A sudden predatory smile on her beautiful face. Oh dear. And then she leaned forward and lay on top of me with her full weight so that my erection was sandwiched between us. Her pussy hot and wet against it. She began to rub herself up and down against me, her tongue slipping from between her lips as she did. "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" I demanded in between gasps. The friction between the two of us was sending bolts of... The friction between the two of us was sending bolts of pleasure along my spine, and I grabbed her butt to slow things down before I came. "What does it look like I'm doing?" said Twi, grinning down at me. "I'm going to rut your brains out." But as soon as she said it, she blushed crimson. "Oh, I'm sorry, I guess I get a bit aggressive when I'm drunk." "I'm liking this a drunk, aggressive Twilight," I said, sliding my hands up to her head and drawing it down so I could kiss her. But this time, her tongue, which had been so shy during our first kisses, was a hungry invader, sliding straight into my mouth. At last, Twi broke the kiss, and left gasping breathless. "I guess you do like it when I'm aggressive," she giggled. I merely nodded, groaning and slid my hands back down and onto her wide hip to help her hump me. Kinky. And while she ground her haunches back and forth... No! She levitated the wine across her and started drinking straight from the bottle! It's fucking great. "Oh yeah," I cried. "Leave some of that for me." She smirked down at me. "Oh, are you thirsty?" "Are you thirsty?" She flowed the wine bottle down to me, but as I reached for it, she jerked out of my reach and put it against her own lips, taking another mouthful. This time she didn't swallow. Instead, she leaned way down and brought her lips against mine. And part of them, she drove her tongue inside, and with it came some flood of sweet liquid. Ignore that. I swallowed it as quickly as I could, for I found myself already wrestling a suddenly aggressive pony tongue of my own. And all the while, she continued to slide her pussy against my dick. Kinky. This had gone on for long enough. I pulled out the kiss, grabbed her around the waist, and lifting her bodily off me. I don't know. I think it's body. Off me. I threw her back onto the couch, and as she looked up at me in surprise, I speared my dick right into her, with her pussy as soaking wet as it was. There was barely any resistance. I don't fucking know. And I was enveloped in the hot stickiness that made me cry out in pleasure. And then I started rutting her in earnest. I was out of my mind at this point, everything turning into a swirling confusion of drunkenness, tension, and love that made me feel like I was on fire. I fucked Twi like I was somehow revenging myself upon her for how much she'd made me lose control of the situation. But she loved every angry moment of it. Angry sex is the best sex. My hips were a blur as again and again I drew my dick almost completely out of her blistering hot pussy so that only the head was left between her juice slick and lips. Then pissed him back into her, driving ball deep to making her cry out. And as soon as she was screaming to me to rut harder, and her cries of ecstasy grew more and more sharp and urgent. I forgot to mention, take like 5 drinks, maybe more. Well, I'll just say 5. I like number 5. Shut up. Take like 5 drinks for all that shit I forgot. I didn't want to interrupt. Her horn was glowing stronger and brighter now, and the purple glow had already expanded to surround us both, and I felt the hairs of my body stand up as if by static electricity. Suddenly, Twi's eyes, which he kept squeezed shut the whole time, flicked open, and deep within their violet reaches, I noticed sparks of platinum white began to swirl about. And as I started studying them, I felt like the waves of pleasure growing excruciating. I was getting close. Take another drink. I can't. I don't have anything else to drink. By then, I noticed that instead of the bookcase, which had been behind Twi's face all this time, I was now looking at the high vaulted ceiling of the library. My stomach lurked, and I looked down and realized that we were now floating around 2 feet above the couch. Twi's magic, with a life of its own, levitated us up in the air as we've been running. So, this is what it must feel like to fucking zero gravity. I gripped her hips and drove myself deep into her, and as I continued to thrust Twi, I threw her hind legs around me and locked them around my waist, and we spun crazily about in the air in place, set in motion by the frenzied movement of our fucking. I was beyond the point of no return now. And Twi was throwing her man about, biting her bottom lip so hard that she'd drawn blood. "Twi, I'm going to come!" I shouted. I'm not shouting that. I am too!" she cried. Twi's eyes were no longer those liquid violet pools, but orbs of pure white blinding light. And then, all of a sudden, I felt the pleasure inside me soar to a whole new level of ecstasy. As the soft purple unicorn magic that surrounded us both caught a light, and we were reefed in a flare of heatless, scintillating energy, with the two of us still fucking madly at its heart. Take another drink. And then we came together. The magical fire was part of us now, and I felt as though it was pure energy that was flowing out my dick and into Twi. She screamed out as well, her pussy flying with a surge of blistering hot juices that seemed made of liquid fire. He poured it out around the base of my dick and all over my thighs. I was sure my My heart had stopped, and that sound of the sight in time and space and everything else had disappeared, and all that existed now was the two of us fused together. My semen blasting into her hungry room, an excruciating ecstasy surging through her body, like being in the center of a supernova. And then we were falling through an endless white void of light. Yeah, I take like 3 drinks for that. An eternity later, when I could see and hear and think again, I felt myself lying on the floor in front of the couch, which had thankfully broken our fall. When Twi's magic had shorted out during her climax, Twi was lying next to me, her eyes wide open and staring at the ceiling, unseeing. But they were those soft violet eyes that I had fallen in love with, and the blinding white orbs of elemental power that burned into my soul just a short while ago. When Twi noticed I was awake, she had turned over and smiled at me. Well, she said deeply and happily, that's one new experience I won't be writing to the princess about. Oh, I don't know, I chuckled, kissing her lightly on the lips. I think she'd get a bit of a thrill out of it. Twilight giggled, but then she looked at me in earnest. Did I do okay? Okay, I looked at her in disbelief. You were unbelievable, Twi. Twi sighed happily and rested her muzzle on my chest. I guess it's true what they say, I said suddenly. What's that? Murmured Twi. I lifted my arms in the air theatrically. Once you go flank, you never go back. Twi lifted her head to look at me. She wasn't smiling. Was that a joke of some sort? I sighed. Well, it was supposed to be. You know, you may be very good at running, she said with a sniff, but your jokes are terrible. Well, you have to put up with it until I get back to Earth, I replied. I regretted my flippant joke as soon as I made it. Twi was suddenly crestfallen, tears starting to glisten at the corner of huge violet eyes, and turned away. Hey, Twi? I said, reaching across and pulling her over so that we were face to face again. What? She muttered angrily. I think you can probably stop looking for a way for me to get back home now, I said. Her violet eyes went wide. Wait, does that mean you want to stay in Equestria? I nodded, smiling. It does. With me? Her voice was a whisper. No, with you! I replied with an exasperation. Before she could protest, I darted forward and kissed her thoughtful mouth. Of course with you! and at that, the little pooper unicorn squealed in joy and climbed on top of me, throwing her forelegs around my neck and peppering my face with kisses. Twi, I said. She murmured as she continued to kiss me on my neck and across my squid chest. I just realized there's one fact that you won't find in that big book of yours. Oh, she said, stopping and looking at me in interest. What's that? I love you, I said. And that was the story. Holy fuck, that took a while. That's probably the longest story I've recorded yet. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope I don't kill anybody because of the string game. My cat's here now. I'm really sorry that I haven't been uploading for a while. I did make a video about it. Not many people watch those videos, just cause. I don't know. But basically, I just needed a break to record and render some stuff. But the fact that my computer actually, died on me, that was a huge coincidence. But no, I got it back. I'll probably try to render this stuff today and upload it. Not like it matters much, because you'll be watching this by that time. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed it. And I don't know what else to say. I just hope you guys enjoyed it. If you got anything else you want me to read, anything. I don't care if it's a fanfiction. I don't care if it's a fucking creepypasta. Let me know, and I'll gladly read it. I swear to God, if any of you send me Jeff the Killer, though, or like an image of that shit, I will fucking hate you. Fucking hate that image. That thing scares the fuck out of me. Anyway, besides the point. I love all of you. You're all great. And I will see you next fanfiction. Or whenever. I don't fucking know. It's a metaphor. Bye. Love you.